Hello, good afternoon. I am MFA and thanks for making time with us on News Today. In our headlines this hour, this afternoon, NPP's Matthew Nindam restored as Member of Parliament after the Supreme Court in a 4-1 decision quashed the judgment of the Tamale High Court annulling his election. We have details from the Supreme Court where the NDC says this matter is not over and they will consider their full options.
Grieved by this decision, and therefore we will advise our candidate in the matter regarding the next step to take.
But the NPP says justice has been done.
So Honorable Nindam still remains the MP of the people of Kpandai.
We'll also get some reactions from Kpandai.
I'm so excited.
Kumasi residents share expectations ahead of the NPP presidential primary. Tip Baumia and Canadian Japan as front runners. This afternoon, pressure grows for the removal of Director and Deputy Director General of the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission as two UTAG branches, KNUST and UCC, joins UTAG UG. We have details. We're live on DSTV, channel 421, and GoTV, channel 105, and around the world on myjoyonline.com. Joy News, independent, fearless, and credible. Please stay for details. First in the news, the Supreme Court has, by a 4-1 majority decision, quashed the High Court judgment that annulled the election of the New Patriotic Party's parliamentary candidates for Kpandai, Matthew Nindam. Justice Gabriel Scott-Palmer, who presided over the panel, dissented. The decision follows an application filed by Mr. Nindam seeking to invoke the Supreme Court's supervisory jurisdiction to set aside the High Court's ruling on the grounds of jurisdictional error. The courts upheld his application, effectively restoring his election as Member of Parliament. When our Parliamentary Affairs correspondent, Kiku Asante, has more from the court.
Supreme Court has, in a majority decision, 4-1, Justice Gabriel Scott-Palmer dissenting, has annulled the Tamale High Court decision that annulled also the election of Matthew Nindam to be Member of Parliament for Kpandai. You will recall that last year, the High Court in Tamale annulled the election because of certain irregularities is said to have determined. The NPP rushed to the Supreme Court and raised issues of jurisdiction. They said that the timing of the filing of the suit was in excess of the 21 days that is prescribed by law. And so the High Court in Tamale did not have jurisdiction to hear that matter, and the court presided over by Justice Gabriel Scott-Palmer today has delivered his judgment. The panel, Justice Gabriel Scott-Palmer, like I said, Justice Amadou Omoro Tanko, Justice Johnny Kulendi, Samuel Kwame Adibosiedu, and Henry Kofi. At the end of the day, the 5 judges could not agree on this matter, and so it was a split 4-1 decision, majority I should say, with Justice Gabriel Scott-Palmer dissenting and actually holding that the High Court judgment that annulled the election of Matthew Nindam should actually be upheld, while the 4 other justices, Justice Amadou Omoro Tanko, Johnny Kulendi, Samuel Kwame Adibosiedu, and Henry Kofi disagreed, quashing the judgment of the High Court in this matter.
Now, as a party, we are grieved by this decision, and therefore we will advise our candidate in the matter regarding the next step to take. But the court is a court of equity and of law. We should be interested in the Gazette notification published by the Assembly Press under the authority of the the Electoral Commission that was brought to Parliament, for which people like me were sworn in. That cannot be a gazette that will be discounted by the court, because it's a public document. The NPP cannot benefit from that gazette notification and come to court and say that that is not the proper document.
Thank you very much. I think that the Supreme Court has spoken emphatically that the decision of the Tamale High Court was made without jurisdiction, and so the court has quashed it, and it's hereby quashed. So Honorable Nyindam still remains the MP of the people of Kpandai. So we call it still maintained.
To thank my lawyers and also use this opportunity to thank the Supreme Court judges for the ruling, because it's clear that the people wanted to change the will of the people of Kpandai, but the Supreme Court has affirmed the will of the people, and I'm most grateful to them. I also want to thank the party from the head to the bottom, that is national, regional, and the constituency, for the support they've given me. And the people of Kpandai, I'm sure that when you are in Kpandai today, you will see the joy of the people, because they voted for me and they expected me to serve them for the 4 years. I also want to thank His Excellency, the former Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, for the support he's given me throughout. I am most grateful.
Now, residents of Kpandai have been reacting to the Supreme Court ruling.
I'm so excited because for some time, Kpandai hasn't had an MP due to some misunderstanding by the MP flag bearer for NDC, saying we have cheated. Now the law has spoken. The law says Matthew is the MP for Kpandai constituency. The law has spoken.
So we don't have anything much to say. Matthew has won. Matthew has won. We thank Almighty Allah. It's a good news. You can see that very soon you come here, you will see a crowd.
Celebration beer, celebration. Mamu celebration. Victory, Pamacho.
Maniati, boy, Salape Ombra, as I'm a content of Winia, no a German. Boy, Naka said the work on the 2 the whole Kpandai. The whole Kpandai. Kpandai, 20-something years.
Well, the Supreme Court's decision is clear, but what would a review look like? We examine the numbers with the head of research here at Joy News, Isaac Ofieji. Isaac, well, today, why am I even calling you Isaac? You should be Kofi, is it not? What are the events looking like? Yeah, it means a serious matter, right? If I call your government name, there's an issue. What's the timeline looking like?
In fact, looking at the timeline, today is 28, which means that the Kpandai case has actually traveled for exactly a year and about 3 days. So it's been a long journey. And we're looking at the court cases and all of that. In fact, we had about 20 court gymnastics of, filing of appeal and counter appeal and all of that. This is a case that has actually traveled for a long time. In terms of the reason why we are doing the timelines is that it is because of the element of jurisdiction, right? We understand that 7th December 2024 was when the Kpandai election was declared by the EC in favor of, Matthew Nyindam. By 25th January 2025, NDC was in court. And remember that after 21 days prescribed by law, if you have issues with an election outcome, you need to go to court within that window. So check between this time. I'll tell you a story very soon. 24th November was when we first heard from the Tamale High Court, which actually annulled Kpandai election and said that, well, we don't need a rerun in just the selected, polling station, but a rerun of the entire Kpandai election. And 1st December 2025 was when, we saw Nyindam petition EC against I mean, the High Court against the High Court, the High Court's decision. So the Supreme Court was actually petitioned against the High Court's decision. Today we've had the results from that petition. But this number on the screen is very important because it tells you the difference from the day that the election was actually, announced in favor of Nyendam versus the dates that the NDC filed their petition. Per our checks, the days between these two is about 49 days, MFA, which is relatively higher than the 21 days prescribed by law. And it was based on this big number on the smart wall that Gary Nimakun and co were very confident that if they go to the Supreme Court, they have a case. Where because they believe that 21 days has elapsed, 41 days, no jurisdiction for the High Court to even sit and decide on this case. It was based on these numbers that the Supreme Court also believes that there's no jurisdiction, and therefore the decision to rerun has been quashed. And in fact, if you look at the decision so far, the only alternative for the NPP, because it's a Supreme Court decision, is to go for a review.
For the NDC, you mean?
For the NDC. And in fact, how will a review look like? Because already we know it's a majority, super majority decision, if I should put it that way. 4-1 decision with just one person dissenting is actually the presiding judge who actually dissented. But in fact, if the NDC decide to go for a review at the Supreme Court, it doesn't necessarily mean that they'll have a second bite at the cherry anyway. The case will not be started from scratch, but they have to prove that there was actually an error. And in fact, it must be very significant for the Supreme Court to say that we're going for a review. If you hold the 5 judges who sat for the first case constant, let's look at how the scenario will be for a review. So first scenario we are looking at is that for a review, you're going to expand the panel. So if you add 2 more judges to the panel, it's going to take you to about 7 instead of 5. Out of that 7, let's assume that one person decides to be at the side of the majority, one person decides to go on the side of dissent. That will be a 5-2 decision. Still, Nyendam gets to hold this position. If we look at this scenario as well, MFA, where assuming that all 2 decide to say that, well, we're going to dissent, that will be a 4-3 decision, still in favor of Matthew Nyendam and his team. And if we look at this scenario where 2 decide that, well, we have heard the case, we think that we still be part of the majority, that will be a 6-1 decision. That is if we are holding the 5 justices who actually sat for this case constant. And so in each of the scenarios we've looked at so far, it looks like the numbers are actually telling a very different story. But it's interesting. One thing we know is that whatever happens, this is the result from Kpandai that has been, upheld. That's been upheld, okay. By the Supreme Court, where Nyendam gets to go to Parliament again with about 53.31%. The Constitution of Parliament actually will give the minority some bit of relief and give them some bit of, some sort of muscle because they were losing some of their, members. So Nyendam going to Parliament is significant for the NPP, but this result has been upheld. Thank you so much, Kofi. Well, still on elections, some residents in Kumasi are tipping former Vice President Dr. Muhammadu Bawumia and former Asin Central MP Kennedy Japan as front-runners in the presidential primary of the New Patriotic Party. Scheduled for Saturday, most respondents expressed support for either Dr. Bawumia or Mr. Japan, citing various reasons for their choices. While many argue over exemplary leadership, others believe the party deserves a leader who will wield power in the 2028 general elections and turn around the economic fortunes of the country.
They should vote for Ken. He has led an exemplary life. What has Bawumia achieved? He and Nanado brought hardship on us.
Oba e Ghana card ye dida oba ye oni nana do amamuo ena bema ye ho be hye ye NPP for so ye dwane me to ma ba ma NDC ena mo muti Bawumia ba amafo be toatia no free say amafo adwa no and Bawumia na nepe yes say Bawumia na nepe momo sesa no na o meto aso omo ba ye no do be ye no.
Bawumia is whom we want. They should vote for him so that he can continue with the good works.
A bit of station crown. Anybody go to meet me be afo oba first one and who born Ghana for. As what church yenye mujidia sakofanaba.
Bawumia wasn't a favorite before, but he came to lead us well. Bawumia deserves to be back to lead the party. He has been in government before and he knows the country's problems.
Mahama Bawumia oyeche omunyira. Media kamenko pa dia. Eka ai nemla bitu nemla. Ai. Bawumia ne kan omunyira de sa.
I wish Dr. Educhum is elected. Bawumia and Ken are just too noisy. Educhum is quieter, and I believe when he's voted, he will lead the country with a good will.
Na ama adrafo ye wo hwehye yen
na me da me se Kennedy na eko ti me sre delegate fo nyina se
Kennedy is who we want. I am pleading with the delegates to vote for him on Saturday.
Na o me di NPP anim na me gidi se o be di NPP anim a o be ma NPP a timi age to me na friend this in.
Now on to the NDC as it begins vetting candidates for the Ayawaso East by-election. Shalasechi has been engaged in some constituents.
You see, I made there's been new crew now. But the bank,
in my opinion, she should relax and mourn her husband.
And twice my na modern born na ekoso omunkoso na my only honorable Sanda. Midena na area. Until the Masanda.
Honorable Sanda is my preferred choice.
Man, ache unim bibia unim tokro bia mu. Until the Masanda not twice my at least a good man.
Me patro na ere ne de ka me nko amade madwen kire de enka on trust na o ma mema ne nko.
I think she should allow the men to run for this contest. She needs time to mourn.
Na obestande
People may conclude that she wanted the position more than her husband. I've heard of Baba Jamal, but I prefer the woman. Women are better leaders. Our instincts help a lot in leadership.
Inti se ni yire no eba me fi se ebe continue se de no no ye ni pepepe. Inti
if she's able to stand, it will feel like her husband is still ruling, and I totally agree.
Inti oba no be hye ho a ebe ti so no a.
Isi anu ade na ko se MP free mu a na mo pese na yire fa. Oso hwe sa de no so a the
new trend of wives of the late MPs taking over after their husband's death doesn't sit well with me. I don't think she should run.
Different person.
And for the past years, when even NASA is around, may the Almighty rest his soul in peace. The wife have done a lot behind him. She helped him a lot for him to win the election, some of the elections. So if she says she wants to run, it's good. It's good. Yeah, she's capable of doing it. Because as a woman, if only you help your husband to run an election and he wins, at least it's a chance for you. So she can try.
And we are your election headquarters. Well, this afternoon calls for the Director General of the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, Professor Ahmed Jinapo Abdullahi, and the Deputy Director General, Professor Akstinu, to resign. Intensifies as two more UTAG branches, KNUST and UCC branches, have joined calls from University of Ghana UTAG branch. The UTAG UG earlier last week, in a press statement, called for the immediate resignation of the Director General and Deputy Director General of GTEC to step down by January 31, 2026, or face a petition to the Chief of Staff and possible industrial action, accusing them of incompetence and administrative overreach. Now, we'll bring you the statement a bit later, but I'll take you on Zoom and engage Labour consultant Austin Game as he joins us via Zoom. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. So you have been a Labour consultant for years now. What's your reaction on the demands from the unions?
Thank you, my sister. Well, it may not be called a reaction. It's my view that I want to express. The reality is that every institution and its union leadership has a right in the unlikely event of something that is of concern to them to be addressed. So the unions and the UTAG has every right to do that, but to the extent of threatening an industrial action, this question of a non-performance on the part of a colleague of theirs is the singular business of the employer of the professor concerned to be either trained, retrained, or given opportunity to perform better based upon the KPIs given to him. And threatening a condition of a strike is not what they are asking for. The reliefs they are asking for is not part of the condition of service of UTAG members at the university. So they cannot, under the circumstance, embark upon an industrial action. So the employer has a business to ensure that they bring them to understand and appreciate why they cannot do what they want to do. And if they want to have this matter properly addressed, they know the employer, whether it is the university authorities, the council, or government as employer. They know how to submit the petition. They know the processes they will have to go through. And my only concern is the threat that they are visiting on all of us and the students, that if they don't get the man off, then they were going to embark upon a strike. It's inappropriate and not right.
But who assesses the director anyway? Is it his appointer, or it would be the UTAC members who are stakeholders, key players, if you look at the value chain? Who really should be measuring the KPI?
It's not UTAC members. They themselves need to be measured. Everybody that works for an employer, that employer has the legitimate right, both as a principle and as a legal demand, to ensure that the targets or the KPIs given to you, you follow through it. Not the union leaders. They are not the employers, and they cannot exercise that right. They have the right as workers to express concern to the employer about something they think a colleague is not doing right. That is up to that level they can do, but they can't go beyond that familiar level.
They are quite an influential union in this country. We know this. And we know the impact of the threats that they are issuing should they proceed onto the strike. How should government proceed in resolving this?
Well, I don't think
without setting precedents anyway.
Yeah, they cannot go on strike in the first place. But if I were to be in the shoes of the employer and government for that matter, I will take immediate steps to call them to a table, and we'll have a round-table engagement. All what I've said now will have to be brought to the table, and let them show from which angle they wanted the employer to dismiss or terminate the employment of their colleague when they has really done nothing to warrant that. If in their opinion they think that they have done something that is inappropriate, They should state it very clearly. The employer will consider that, but they are not the people to direct the employer as to what they should do.
Okay.
It would be the dangerous precedent to set in this country.
Thank you so much. Austin Gabe is a labor consultant. You're watching News Today. We shall now take you to the Ghana Journalists Association, where the president is addressing attacks on journalists.
The GJ will be actively monitoring the entire election process through our regional structures across the country, and will not hesitate to name and shame any individual or group that assault journalists in the course of this assignment. GJA red lines, non-negotiable standards for journalist safety, and these are red lines. In light of the escalating threats and attacks, the Ghana Journalists Association hereby set out the following red lines, which must never be crossed under any circumstances. No journalist must be assaulted, arrested, threatened, or obstructed for performing lawful professional duties, whether by state security officers, political party supporters, or private individuals. 2, no security agency is permitted to confiscate journalist equipment, delete content, or demand permission for coverage of events of public interest. What are you hiding? What do you have to hide? We are public interest media, and we don't need authorization. We don't need consent. We don't need approval to discharge our constitutional mandate as a public interest media. If it is your private engagement, fine. But once you are serving the nation, the interest of the public, no journalist need any authorization from any uniform officer or whatever to discharge their duty. 3, no reported threat against a journalist must be ignored or treated casually. All threats must trigger immediate risk assessment, protection, and investigation. 4, internal disciplinary measures alone are unacceptable where criminal conduct against journalists has occurred. Such cases must be prosecuted in open court. Silence by institutions after attacks on journalists is unacceptable and will be interpreted as storylines for impunity. And I take the 5 again. Silence by institutions after attacks on journalists is unacceptable and will be interpreted as storylines for impunity. The GJ will vigorously pursue accountability for any violation of these red lines and will not hesitate to escalate matters to national and international partners where necessary. Our international partners are waiting on us to brief them with all the happenings in the country and will not hesitate to do so. GJA's demands. In light of the foregoing, the Ghana Journalists Association demands the following. 1, a public release of the investigation findings and sanctions by the Ghana National Fire Service. A public release of the investigation findings and sanctions by the Ghana National Fire Service. We are giving the fire service a 14 days ultimatum. We are giving the fire service a 14-day ultimatum to act on this request, failing which will take drastic measures against them, including and not limited to blacklisting. Failing which will take drastic measures against them, including but not limited to blacklisting. The immediate release of the PRO of the Ghana National Fire Service. This cannot be compromised. We can't work with him. Failure to do so, the GJ will have to take a position and advise our members and all media practitioners in the country as such on our position. So within these 14 days, we expect them to do these 2 things. Or reassign him, we don't care. Should we remove him from there? We cannot deal with him. And let me also add that we are not only leaving it, we are not leaving the issue of criminal investigation alone or for the internal sanctions alone. We have taken bold steps. As we speak now, our lawyers are busily preparing summons to take civil action against the perpetrators of this erroneous attack, of this barbaric attack, which occurred in Kaswa. First, as you may all recall, they were defending and saying that the officers in question have not even been identified, and they cannot even confirm whether they are their officers or whether they work for them. That was how it came. Later, they said the journalist was not attacked. They only seized his phone and deleted pictures. Now, we have all heard from the president, who has directed the immediate addition of this officer. So where are the officers? Now we know the officers now. Now it is very clear that they are officers of the Ghana National Fire Service. They are staff of the Ghana National Fire Service for that matter. And so we have the full details. And so aside the prosecution, we have the support of the media house, Class Media Group Limited, as well as the victim, that is our colleague who was also assaulted. We have the full support to take civil action, to take legal action against these officers. So we are going to ensure that all the actions are enforced or are enforced. So take note. This time around, we are not leaving it here just at the press conferences and talking. We are taking action. And once it is served, once we served the court case on them, the media will be duly informed. GJA, still on the GJA demands. The second one, or the third, sorry, the immediate arrest and prosecution of the police officer involved in the Kokrantumi assault. And that is what we've called the IGP, we've called on IGP to do daily. 4, clear directives from all security services prohibiting the assault, obstruction, or intimidation of journalists. 5, firm political party commitment to protect journalists during all political activities, including internal elections. The next one is the immediate investigation, arrest, prosecution of the military officers involved in the Wale assaults. In the Wale assault. We were tempted to give ultimatum to the military high command, but we'll leave it since they said that they are waiting for us to finish with their presser so that they can react, or they will also come out with their reaction. We will wait for the reaction of the military high command. And after that, we will come out and make our position known. We still have our ultimatum, and we know that because already there is a pending case involved Joy FM's Carlos Caroni, which we paid a courtesy call on the military high command, the CDS for that matter. They gave us all the assurance and promised to give us daily or periodic briefing, updates on the matter, which they failed. And they've not spoken about this matter till date. So this one is a second issue they are handling. And we are saying that they should take swift action on this matter, or we will advise ourselves. The military needs us, we also need them. But they should know that they cannot subject us to inhuman treatment and put our lives in danger for anything. We are serving our nation, and for that matter, we need their protection, not the attack. We will, in the coming days, come out with a firmer stance on the attacks after a high-level engagement with key stakeholders in the media. We are calling on key stakeholder engagement, which is happening this week. Heads of media institutions, editors, past GJ executives, our key partner institutions or sister institutions, GIBA, Primpad, then we are all meeting to take a firm position and stand on this attacks. We encourage all journalists across the country to be strong, fearless, and unwavering in the discharge of their duties for Mother Ghana, for God and country. Violence in our country. Colleagues, the GJ unequivocally condemn the alarming and recurrent attacks on civilians by law enforcement agencies across the country. This act of brutality, intimidation, and excessive use of force represent a gross abuse of power and a flagrant violation of the fundamental rights guaranteed under the 1992 Constitution. It is deeply troubling that institutions entrusted with the protection of citizens are increasingly associated with fear, violence, and lawlessness. Such conduct not only endangers innocent lives, but also erodes public confidence in the state's ability and willingness to uphold justice, accountability, and the rule of law. The GJA is gravely concerned that violence in the Ghanaian society is fast getting out of hand, with law enforcement agencies repeatedly at the center of this disturbing incident. We have just January alone, the fire service, the police, the military, it's like they have gone for a caucus meeting and they've decided after all night service, maybe they made a resolution that this year they will be attacking us in badges. This is what we'll do and this is what we'll follow. No, it won't happen under our watch. The GJA is gravely concerned that violence in the Ghanaian society is fast getting out of hand, like I said, with law enforcement agencies repeatedly at the center of this disturbing incident. This dangerous trend must not be normalized. We therefore demand immediate and decisive action from the authorities to bring an end to this culture of impunity. Officers who engage in an act of violence against civilians, officers who engage in an act of violence against civilians must be promptly identified, interdicted, and prosecuted without hesitation. Failure to act decisively will only embolden further abuses and fuel public resentment, deepen fear, mistrust, insecurity, and weaken the democratic foundations of our country. Quite recently, the President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, promised to arrange a meeting with the security chiefs, that's security couples, security chiefs and the executives of the Ghana Journalists Association to help ease tension between the media and the security agencies. Mr. President, our distinguished member, a proud member of the GJ, this is the right time for that important meeting, given the recent disturbing development involving some security agencies. The time to call for such meeting is now. The President is a member of the GJ, as I've said, and has consistently demonstrated his interest in the welfare of journalists throughout his political career. We therefore believe he will convene the meeting as soon as possible to help ease tensions. Conclusions. Ladies and gentlemen, let it be stated clearly and without equivocation. Attacks on journalists are attacks on Ghana's democracy and constitutional order. No institution, security agency, or political actor has the moral or legal authority to brutalize, threaten, or silence journalists for doing their work. The Ghana Journalists Association will not be intimidated into silence, nor will not be intimidated into silence, nor will we accept ritual condemnation followed by inaction. Where journalists are attacked, we demand justice. Where journalists are threatened, we demand protection. Where institutions fail to act, we will escalate locally and internationally until accountability is secure. We remind our duty bearers that press freedom is not a privilege granted by the state, but a constitutional right guaranteed under the 1992 Constitution. The safety of journalists is therefore a test of the state's commitment to democracy, rule of law, and human rights. We also want to encourage and caution our members to also be circumspect, to discharge their duty professionally, to ensure that they always fact-check their report before putting it out there, to preserve evidence when they come under fear or any attack, to always be easily identifiable by putting on your jacket, your branded across, your ID cards at all times, to remain resolute, to be cautious, and to ensure that they discharge their duty constitutionally, ethically, without fear, favor, or panic. Knowing very well that press freedom comes with responsibility. Media responsibility is key whenever you are discharging your duty. The GTEC remains resolute in defending the lives, rights, and professional independence of journalists across Ghana. We will continue to monitor development, speak truth to power, and act decisively in the interest of journalists. Long live press freedom. Long live the Ghana Journalists Association. Long live Ghana's democracy. Thank you all for your audience.
Thank you for staying with us. You're watching News Today, and every morning in Ghana's Bono and Ahafo regions, thick smoke rises from thousands of kitchens, quietly filling homes, markets and lungs. Women cook over firewood and charcoal, not because they want to, but because they have no other choice. The smoke makes their eyes hurt, their chest burn, and their children cough. Yet, just a short distance away, piles of sawdust, crop waste and food scraps are burned or dumped as rubbish. Experts say this ignored waste could power clean cooking, protect forests and save lives. Here is Precious Samava's report on turning Ghana's daily trash into a solution.
At a small cooking spot in Duankwanta Zongo in Ghana's Ahafo region, the promise of clean energy feels far away. For 65-year-old Kenkesela Hawa Mumuni, this fire is survival. I have used it for a long time, and we can put it out after use. That is why I am stuck with the firewood. I use this metal cooking pot, and when I am done, I add the hot water. Not far away, porridge vendor Zalia to Isaka prepares for the morning rush. Firewood, she says, is cheap, fast and always reliable. The firewood is fast and easily accessible. Either we cut it here or firewood sellers bring it in a motor tricycle. These women are the human face of Ghana's clean energy transition. One they say is passing them by. Ghana wants to fight climate change by expanding renewable energy. Government plans aim to increase renewable energy in the national energy mix from about 2% to 10% by 2030. National data from the Ghana Statistical Service shows that only 23% of households use clean cooking fuels. About 77% still depend on firewood, charcoal or other solid fuels. Abudu Isifu is the assembly member for Duankwanta Zongo electoral area.
Because our area is located near the forest areas, we normally use firewood as our source of energy. And after the firewood, we go to charcoal. So it's basically firewood and charcoal that we normally use.
Health workers say the cost is being paid with lives. Iva Ayi is the district director of health for Tano North Municipality.
If we have the NGOs that will come in to give them the necessary support so that at least our women or whoever, there will be a cut down on exposure to the smoke. You are exposed to a whole lot of respiratory tract infections, and with these, if not treated, it will progress into some of the cancers with looking at the lung cancers, the breast cancers, and the rest.
Daniel Ousukoko is the environmental officer for Sunyani Municipal.
In our society, you will say that poverty is one of the reasons why they continue using firewood. They cannot afford it. And so though we don't like it, but gradually we will reach there.
Women here say the barriers are clear. Clean fuels are costly or unavailable. Electricity and solar systems are beyond their reach. Many have never received education on LPG safety or improved cook stoves. Amin Ali Adams is a resident.
I say communities, rural communities, the government, behind because I
think the government has left rural communities behind because urban dwellers often enjoy a greater share of clean energy, unlike us. But we are all Ghanaians, so we plead with the government to help us access renewable energy. My problem is the health implications of firewood usage on our women. The government has rolled out programs like the Rural LPG Promotion Program, which provides subsidized cylinders and stoves. But communities like Duamkwanta say they have seen little impact. For women like Hawa and Zalia too, clean energy remains a distant promise. Each day, smoke fills their kitchens. It affects their health, pollutes the air, and deepens energy poverty. Precious Semevo, Duamkwanta.
This story is brought to you by Joy News in partnership with CDKN Ghana, University of Ghana Center for Climate Change and Sustainability Studies, with funding from Claire R4I Opportunities Fund.
Now imagine living in a house for years only to see it reduced to rubble in the blink of an eye. That's the reality facing several residents of Che-Ado, whose homes have been demolished in an ongoing exercise by the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO. The operation is aimed at protecting the Kpandai Lagoon and preventing future flooding in the area. Gemma Pia was at the ground on the day 3 of the exercise and reports.
The day at Che-Ado in the Dadikotopon municipality of the Greater Accra region, NADMO started on Monday, demolishing structures. First, along the things outside, you can see a gas cylinder, buckets, clothes, a number of things. Their belongings are outside. They don't have any home. Right behind me is now what I can call debris. The structure has been taken down, and I'm here with the owner of the structure. He's going to tell us how NADMO came here this morning to demolish his home. Thank you for joining me. Did NADMO tell you that they are coming to break down your building?
No, they did not give us even a letter that maybe they are coming to break here. What happened was that I was at work side when somebody called me that they came to do announcement, 3 days announcement. And for instance, giving me a notice on 3 days, how am I going to pack out from my building and where am I going to find somewhere and be there? Because I'm here with my wife and my daughter. And you just came for announcement for only just 3 days. Not even a month or something, but 3 days announcement that everybody should pack out. They are coming to demolish this place. So just imagine if it were to be them and they just came with a 3 days announcement like this. Where are they going if they don't have anything, anywhere to go?
So let me speak to another resident. So you were living here?
That's my brother, my junior brother. We are living here for so much, almost 17 to 18 years now. You understand? This old building, and normally they are targeting, they say what? When the marking that they are doing, they say with the old building, they don't hold. Demolish the old building. You know, see, if you look to the other side, they demolish it to some end, then they leave it. I don't know whether the people there is selecting something they are doing. Now look at the whole area. You understand? There's no flood. We are even contributing to create the area well. So I don't know where this thing is coming from.
Janet, what happened this morning?
Please, when I wake up and my daddy told me that the car was come to break our house.
So what did you do when your dad told you that?
I panicked.
And what did you do? Did you leave the house?
Yes.
To where?
My grandma's place.
Shall I up with Showbiz?
I am Lawyer Amy, and in Showbiz today, we have a lot of stories for you. Let's get into it. Now, following his recent visit to Ghana, American YouTube star Ayawaso Speed has been approved for a Ghanaian passport. The announcement was made by the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, after engagements that confirmed the streamer's cultural ties to the country. During his visit, Ayawaso Speed toured Ikropon, where he was given a Ghanaian name, as well as Independence Square, the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Museum, Bukum Boxing Arena, and a Sherbata village, drawing millions of viewers through his live streams. Now, the development has sparked conversation online, with many seeing it as a boost for Ghana's cultural visibility and engagement with global digital creators. Now, it's Wednesday, and the music scene in Ghana is cooking. From Afrobeats bangers to homegrown hits, fans are streaming, sharing, and dancing to songs, grabbing attention across playlists and radio. Here's a look at Ghana's top 5 hits dominating the chart so far this week. That's all for Showbiz. I am Lawyer Ademi. For more entertainment stories, please do log on to myjoyonline.com. Over to you, Emma Fadeti.
Shola, did you know that I love Coco Smoke?
I'm just finding out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I totally love him. I think he's really good.
I mean, you're not Gen Z, so I mean, it's given.
Yeah, I'm adopted today. But thank you so much for watching the news. For more news, do log on to myjoyonline.com. I am MFA Akosia Adeti.